Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me. This isn't a video that I want to make. I don't even know how long this video will be, and I do not know how rambly it will get or disjointed it'll be. Trigger warning, gun violence, school shootings. Now, I'm sure by now everyone has heard what happened in Minneapolis, Minnesota on Wednesday morning. And I don't know why we continue to not take care of the situation. The rest of the modern world has figured out ways to at least mitigate the numbers of these shootings from happening. In the United States, we continue to do nothing. In fact, we've done nothing better than anybody else in the entire world. We have tried nothing over and over again with the same results. And what is it called when you do the same thing over and over again with the same results and you never try anything different? I believe they call that insanity. Two children were murdered, slaughtered in that church, while those children sat there praying during Mass as part of the first week of school. Their parents no longer have their children, and they have to be devastated. And I hope they get all the support they need. Those children didn't deserve that. No child deserves that. You should be safe in your churches, your synagogues, your mosques. You should be safe in your school. You should be safe to be a child, but not in America. And pretty much only not in America. Because yes, other countries have had mass shootings, but most of them have done things to prevent the next one or try to prevent the next one. And I understand we can't stop every act of violence and we cannot stop every school shooting. But could we start with one? Just one. Could we start with stopping one school shooting? Making it more difficult for these gunmen to kill innocent children. Is there anything we can do? Oh, there's a lot we could do. But is there anything we're gonna do? The answer is no. We will never in this country try to solve this problem. I personally have a two birds, one stone solution to this particular problem. We have homeless veterans, and veterans are having hard times finding jobs. Hire the veterans to protect our schools. Now, make sure they've gone through their psychological screenings and stuff to make sure that they're fit for the job. But this is a job that a number of veterans that I have spoken with, and veterans I have seen on social media say they would gladly do if they were allowed to do it. So that takes out two problems. It protects our schools because we could station them outside the entrances of schools, or at least to patrol the buildings. And then they'd be able to take out a shooter before they even get in the school, or the moment they start shooting. Now, I know to some people that may sound terrifying, but what are we going to do? Because you remember the Tennessee, I believe it was a school shooting that was part of a religious affiliated school shooting there too. But the people in Tennessee, they were armed. The teachers were armed, but they weren't fast enough. So we need people that are going to be stationed outside of the doors and outside of the schools to where they know what's happening. And people are going to be like, but where are we going to get the funding for it? Tax a billionaire. I don't really give a damn where we get the money for it. The federal government should provide funding to the states for school safety and security. And I don't mean minimal funding, I mean maximum funding. So these people can get paid decent wages to protect the school children of America. Because if we're not going to do anything else, we're not going to worry about common sense gun reform, making sure that everybody has to have a background check, that guns are registered and all that stuff. Yeah. If we're not going to do anything like that, then we need to do something. And this sounds like a solution. But the two children that died, 8-year-old Frederick Merkel and 10-year-old Harper Mosky, they're gone because we did nothing. And I want to make it very clear, I don't blame just the Republicans. I blame the Democrats for this too. Because the times that we had that we could have fixed this, that we could have codified into law certain laws about pertaining to firearms, we didn't do it on the left. So I blame Democrats. I also blame Democrats for not holding the Republicans' feet to the fire on these issues, because all the Republicans say was, well, we won't support it, so you don't hold them to a vote. You still make them vote on it. Let their constituents know that they don't care about children, that their bullshit about we're pro-life is a lie. We are not a Christian nation. We never have been. But you got a lot of people out there that want to act like we are. So you want to act like you're in a Christian nation? That this is a land of Christianity? Where to the point where you're forcing it down people's throats? Then how about you start acting like it? James, from the Bible, James 14, 15, and 16. What does it profit, my brethren, if someone says he has faith, but does not have works? Can faith save him? If a brother or sister is naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you says to them, depart in peace, be warmed and filled, but you do not give them the things which are needed for the body, what does it profit? Thus also faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. Right there, the Bible is telling you that you can't just have faith alone. You can't just say thoughts and prayers and fix a problem. For you to have faith, you also must do your due diligence and your work for it. But those two children are dead, and those others are traumatized for the rest of their lives because we've done nothing. And the only thing that made this a less lethal situation than it was, where only 2 children were lost, as opposed to everyone in that building, is because they had a new policy that they put in place a few years ago of locking the doors to the sanctuary when the children were in there. So thankfully, somebody did something. But we as a nation aren't doing anything to stop the next one. Could we at least try? I understand we may not be successful, but can we at least try? Now, as for the shooter, you will not hear their name on my channel, but let's talk about him a little bit. Let's talk about him just a bit. This absolutely cowardly monster had writings and stuff they put on video and stuff like that about how they loved the idea of doing this. That they thought harming the most vulnerable amongst us was okay to do and a great idea. It's been mentioned multiple times in the media that it appears that this person was transgender. And if they were, I don't know what to say. But I also want to make it very clear that we don't know for sure what this person's leanings were or what they thought about transgender people. Because from what I have read, scribbled on their firearms and in their writings were homophobic, transphobic, anti-Semitic, anti-black, people of color in general, anti-Asian, anti-Mexican. Their writings definitely had a lot of right-wing bent to them. But it doesn't change the fact. I mean, if they were transgender, then they were. Because I know people that are trans that are on all sorts of all parts of the political spectrum. But the one thing I will not sit and listen to is people blaming the entire trans community or people transitioning for this happening. Let's make it very clear. There have been some 5,000 mass shootings in the U.S. since 2015, and during that time, 5 of them were trans or non-binary, or at least claimed to be. The ones that survived claimed to be after the shooting. So we don't know for sure, right? But that's what's been reported. So please, the one thing I can ask you is not to hate the entire community, not to come after the entire community because one piece of shit did something shitty. We have RFK Jr. out there talking about how he's going to look and see if transition medication is causing people to do these school shootings. Well, I can tell you right now it's not, because there are a lot more people that have transitioned than the 5 people who have committed a crime like this. We know that at least 98% of all mass shooters, 98% are cisgender white males. And we seem to just let it go by that happens, right? Dylan Roof was taken to freaking Burger King for dinner before they took him to jail to book him after he shot up a black church. We do nothing. We say nothing. We do nothing when it's a white cisgender male that commits one of these crimes. And when they overwhelmingly are the ones committing these crimes over and over again. But you have one person that might be transgender, and all of a sudden all of us are to blame. Well, fuck that. But I'm absolutely saddened to know what happened to those children. And I'm not going to sit here and defend the shooter just because they were transgender. If you're a piece of shit, you're a piece of shit. And there's no way I can fix that. There's no way I can talk about that other than to call you a piece of shit. But to think that somebody that was transgender not only would harm school children like that and shoot kids and maniacally laugh about it before they go and do it, tells me there's far more wrong with them than just than what people are going to see on the outside of it. There's people out there already calling for all transgender people to be rounded up, and we'll talk about that more next week. But where's that same energy when it's a cisgender white guy? Like, really, where is it? But America, I don't know what we're going to do. We got to do something. We got to do something that we're not doing now. But my thoughts are with those families. My heart goes out to them, to the community of Minneapolis, and everyone affected by this school shooting. What's also disappointing is that a trans person would do this at a time when they knew it wouldn't just hurt these children, but they knew it would hurt the entire community. Now, I'm not saying that this is somehow being made into a false flag of some sort. I'm not saying the shooting never happened, because it did. 2 children are dead because of it. But I will say it's very interesting that literally 24 hours afterwards, RFK Jr. is on television talking about how they're going to start investigating whether medications are causing it, right? Seems kind of weird. But children should be safe to go to school. Children should be safe in church. Not in America. We don't care about our children here in America. Other countries do. Other countries have had school shootings and found ways to mitigate the numbers of them. And we could do the same, but we refuse. Anyhow, good luck, America.